quickly, but we'll go ahead and call the January 16th meeting, of the Airport Commission to order. Roll call.
Neil Johnson.
Here.
Greg Collier.
Here.
Andrew Barker.
Here.
Bill Gardner.
Here.
Steve Smith. Bill Schoonover.
Here.
Greg Willoughby.
And there's no minutes. No. Any comments from the audience? Update for Summit Aviation.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you all again. So we've got a few things just for a general catch-up. Fuel sales for the last few months, I think October, November, were good, slightly over what 2018 was. That was good. December of 2019 was slow, but that follows the trend of the last few years. Particularly slow, though, so it dropped behind a little bit more than was expected, but not terrible. Again, January, coming out of the Christmas season, still very slow. People are starting to get back in the swing of things, and we're starting to see our sales come back up, which is nice. So we'll see what the rest of the month does for us. A couple things specifically I'd like to go over. I want to get one of these passed around to each of you. Hopefully I've got enough. If you need one more, I've got one more. This is to let you know what we're needing to do as far as business decisions and what we're, how we're going to be running things, and simply because we are struggling in some areas to bring in enough profit. And so I'm going to go ahead and start reading this. So regarding the need to implement a facility fee, we at Summit Aviation have determined that the implementation of a facility fee of $20 per transient aircraft is the next logical step for our FBO to provide modern and efficient facilities to our customers. We have conducted a survey of the typical destinations of our most frequent transient customers within 250 miles. Along with non-waivable fees, they also have substantially higher fuel prices. Local FBOs in our area, such as Drake Field at Fayetteville and Regional Jet Center at XNA, have minimum fuel handling or facility fees. The fact that Summit has not had fees in the past has not attracted customers that frequent other local airports, other than general aviation, small aircraft, I should say, as their desire to land at the airport closest to the place they ultimately need to go is the reason they go places. We have the same situations with customers coming in for companies in and around Springdale, such as Tyson, George's, any manufacturing businesses as well. The information on the next page is what we have compiled for you to look over. This information came from, of course, online sources, but also Mark Myers, part owner of the FBO and owner of Executive Aviation. He frequents all of these airports every year, so he knows the prices, he has access to the prices, and was able to obtain them. So we know where our competition is at as far as facility fees, and as you'll see, these numbers are substantially higher than anything that we see around here. Fayetteville does have minimum fuel, and so does XNA, and those we consider our big competitors. We don't really consider Rogers to be the same style competitor as us because they're so dedicated to Walmart operations. I think it's a slightly different ballgame. Having said that, I wanted to let you know this is what we're looking at for the future, to be able to turn a profit in a more appropriate way for our business practices, and to be able to provide modern services and amenities to our customers. Having said that, I'd like to fold into my next point, unless you've got any questions at this point, because this is a whole different thing.
How did you settle on the $20?
$20, that is really just where we want to start. We don't know what the future will hold as far as other airports. If they decide to do something like this, we don't want to require a minimum fuel because a lot of aircraft just can't take minimum fuel, especially if they're coming from Little Rock or Tulsa. If it's 100 gallons for a jet, they haven't even burned 100 gallons to get to us. And if they can't hold it, then we can't do it. We'd rather have a $20 facility fee where we can pull in $200 or $300 extra dollars every week. That's going into being able to upkeep our facilities, provide better, more comfortable seating or whatever it might be that we need for lounges or just upgrade TVs, computer services, flight planning station, anything like that. And we think of $20 is more than adequate. Anything higher, I don't think would be fair to them, and anything lower, I think we would be selling ourselves short.
Is this across the board for piston, turbine, everything?
Anything transient. Nothing local, no flight school coming in and out of Bentonville, anything like that. They're not going to see this. This is people who are coming in from Tulsa or Mesa in Arizona or Chicago or something like that, people who are making a trip to get some business done.
So, run me through that whole process. Your flight comes in, you hit them with a $20 fee. How do you assess that whole $20 fee?
What do you mean assess?
How do you collect it? Let's go with how you
Okay.
collect it.
Well, as it is, a lot of our customers already expect that they're going to have to pay a handling fee of some sort because it's so standard throughout the system, particularly with our NetJets. NetJets and FlexJets, they just see that normally everywhere. So it's actually a bit of a surprise to the companies when they fly in and they realize they don't have to pay anything on top of fuel. And of course, we waive their first night if they're getting any sort of fuel. We don't have any minimum of that. So a bit of an incentive for the companies to continue to try and use Springdale there. Since doing that, really haven't seen an uptick at all. But what we do is an aircraft arrives, we ask them if they wanted any services, yes, no, let them know at the flight line, okay, well, we've got a $20 facility fee. If that's all you're going to need, then you'll just need to go see one of the ladies at the front desk. We'll get you taken care of and anything else you need. Again, very common. Where I came from at TAC Air in Texarkana, we did the same thing. We told them on arrival, if they're transient, there's a $20 facility fee or whatever it was, and you just see somebody inside about getting that paid up. And I think they call it something different. It was infrastructure, and they paid for the infrastructure of the terminal. And because we don't really own the infrastructure of our terminal, it's a facility fee, so you're paying to use our facilities like our coffee station or our flight planning station or using the TVs in the lounges or anything like that. So justify.
So what
through a
you're
few-
saying, if I fly my airplane in there as a transit, and I have someone meet me at the gate, pick me up, I'm not gonna use your facility, I'm not gonna pay anything.
We,
But
no,
you're actually, I don't care what you call it, you're charging a landing fee. That's been the old,
It's a ramp fee.
It's a ramp fee.
that's what it boils down to. You can call it what you want to, but that's what it is. We've prided ourselves in not having a landing fee at Springdale Airport. And I think it's helped grow that airport. Now, I'm not trying to debate this, it's not even on the agenda today, but I assume you're gonna come back and propose this as something that we would either put our stamp approval on or not want it to happen, or are you assuming you're just gonna do it as Summit Aviation? I guess that's my question.
we're assuming that it's going to happen. Now or later, it will eventually happen because we're starting to get to where we can't afford to pay our guys what the equal pay is throughout the area just for line guys. And that's our biggest killer right there is our employees, you know, the pay that we provide to them, the compensation.
You never mentioned that a while ago. Everything you said was money was going to go towards
Well, if we
upgrades.
want to continue to give our employees raises every year, this is going to help buffer that a little bit.
So I'm getting from your conversation
That's,
that the facility's not paying off.
Well, not necessarily. It's just that we don't feel like we're in a comfortable spot as far as what we're bringing in to be able to provide the services and the adequate training and compensation to our employees. And I mean, it's a lot of things. It's like we need to find new sources. And if we want to be
You
able to
need to
keep up.
find new sources for revenue.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about. So then, let's say that you do that, it's not successful, and it drives business away from the airport, and then you decide, well, we don't want to be here anymore, so you cancel the contract. Now, the next LPO's got an uphill battle to overcome that.
Well, that would be worst case scenario, but I don't feel that would be the case. Based on what I've seen and the people coming in, they're not really being turned away. And that's why we don't want to do this to the transient, such as flight school, things like that. The people who would really be hurt by that $20 every time they come in and use the building. It doesn't make sense to
Well-
to do that to people.
The GA pilot that flies in is hurt by a $20 fee, much more than a Hawker 800.
True.
A Hawker 800 doesn't even notice it. To be completely honest, you're wasting your time to charge them a $20 fee. You're going to charge a Hawker, you know? Also, we need to be very careful with this. There are designated ramp spaces that really should be or must be kept rent-free.
Yes.
And the transient traffic needs to know those are available if we decide to agree to a landing/ramp fee. I think this is something that needs to be debated much more than, hey, we're doing this,
Yes.
in my opinion.
So as I'm coming here, I see one of the most decorated aircraft I've seen in a long time landing at Springdale. It's full of nice colors. As I'm passing northbound on 265, I see the ambulance tucked off in the corner. So obviously they're transporting somebody. That's your transient vehicle that you're gonna go ahead and charge $20 to.
That
Is
would-
the life flight or the child care
Yeah.
flight vehicle. Okay, just checking to see if that was what your definition of transit would also handle something like that.
Yes.
He's coming in, dropping off something, and he's out the door.
Yes. Yeah, transiting, that would fold into it.
And that's why I said, anyway, you catch the landing fee.
And
that's
we
the
would
way-
not,
that's what-
and I should say, we would never chase somebody down. If somebody is going to, say it's 12 Stone, and I've never seen the plane before, I'm not going to send anybody after them. There's no
Don't
way.
have the authority to do that.
Exactly, that's why.
No, let's make it clear. You don't have the authority to do that.
Right.
That
It is a
airport-
public airport. You
that
do not
airport,
have the authority to do that.
anyone can fly That airport wants to.
Right.
And you're asking them to pay Summit for the use of their facilities. That's why I was asking that question I did a while ago. So if there's a landing fee charge out there, then Springdale Airport Commission should be designating a landing fee for that airport.
Well,
And
if I-
that should be coming into the coffers of the Springdale Airport.
Well, if
not
somebody
the
comes
FBO.
into Springdale Airport and they expect to use Summit Aviation Services, there is going to be that charge. If they expect to land at Springdale and not use our services, our business services at all, they're
If I
doing
walk
their
through your
own
building,
thing.
am I using your services?
No.
Well-
No, it's not our building.
How do you determine that?
Well,
If
if
I
they
flew
come
in
in,
and parked out on the ramp in the transient parking and walked
to
through
have
your
lunch.
facility, or go upstairs to have lunch,
we'll
how
make
do you-
contact with you. We'll ask you what you're doing, and our guys will already know, oh, you're just here for lunch? Yeah, I'm not worried about you.
Now,
Okay, so I've got a question. Okay, 3 GA pilots decide on Friday, it's a pretty morning, Saturday, let's fly to Springdale and eat breakfast. What are those 3 aircraft going to pay to fly into Springdale, not buy any fuel, but to go upstairs and have breakfast at our
Nothing.
newly opened restaurant?
Nothing. They wouldn't utilize us.
Okay, what exactly defines transient then?
Anybody who comes into our airport expects to use Summit Aviation Services.
But the pretty little aircraft I just saw, you said you would charge $20
Yeah.
because they flew in, grabbed the ambulance, and they took off.
They flew in, came to our ramp, and they had to be marshaled in, and our guy was out there to help them if
Okay.
they needed help.
Okay, so the fact that the fact that your guys went out and met them is costing $20.
Right, which is a standard practice too for us.
So then the 3 guys coming in for lunch are gonna get whacked for $20 because they used the guys coming in to greet them.
What we'd probably do is make an exception for anything, especially if they're coming in for a fly-in and it was being hosted by the Albatross.
No, I'm
anything
not, I'm
like
not
that.
saying
No,
that.
no.
I'm talking about just on any given Saturday, there's no advertised event, couple of 3 guys getting together to go bore some holes in the sky. And if they're going to get exposed, any chance of getting exposed to a $20 fee per airplane, I'm going to suggest it'll be the first, but also the last time
Right.
that they entertain that type of a thought. They're going to go to Rogers, or they're going to go to KVBT to eat. I mean, that's going to be it.
Right.
Well, this compares airports that are not in the same class as ASG. Compares major airports Now, they might all only be deltas primarily, but you're comparing a lot of Charlie Airspace airports, which have commercial jet service out of them and are not an apples to apples comparison. We got apples and baby Wolverines on this page. And I absolutely agree that a handling / some sort of fee is extremely common for larger aircraft. And those fees are typically waived based on fuel purchases. I would be a party to considering something like that. I would absolutely never be a party to sticking a $20 fee on a GA guy that's coming in to eat breakfast. That's just my personal opinion on the matter.
Okay.
It hurts general aviation. I've been flying for my entire life, and I avoid airports that do exactly what you're proposing for that exact reason.
Okay.
Because there's still hundreds and hundreds of them, Bentonville, that don't do that.
May I-
Careful.
May I make a suggestion? Actually, this is not an agenda item anyway.
I know.
But I would suggest you go back to your personnel and discuss, you have some input from here too today, and make a presentation to this body as to what you want to do, so we, in a form that we would be, it'd be a matter that we could discuss and vote up or down.
Okay,
That's how I would suggest doing it.
I would agree. I would agree.
sure. Yeah.
And if I may ask, you're ballparking $200 to $300 a week. What is your shortfall that you're looking to cover? I mean, running a business, you should know what your shortfall, what your annual shortfall is that you're looking to cover. And what other tools are out there that can help cover that shortfall?
It's really hard to say without just making up new services that we can do, which might not be utilized. One thing that I'm trying to do is get somebody to maybe sponsor the coffee station. Maybe there's so many local coffee roasters around here. Maybe they could have their name specifically saying, sponsored by whoever, and have some decent coffee, some good coffee. And that's just an idea. Just trying to figure out ways to be able to make the hit of all the insurance and the fuel costs and stuff that we're having to pay just that much easier to bear with,
But those are your guys' cost of doing business.
which have gone up steadily year by year. Our insurance is about 20% higher than it was last year. Just, that was what happened.
I just think coming up with some alternatives, and instead of just, this to me feels like you're going, all right, hey, I've got this thing, and I'm gonna talk about it, slip it by, and by the way, it's gonna go in next Tuesday. Good, I mean, kudos to this group right here that were paying attention, because I see a lot of
Yeah.
groups like this that don't pay attention, and next Tuesday, we would have had ourselves a $20 landing fee.
Yeah, and we have no timeline. This is an idea at this point.
I will also add a comment. I fly into XNA fairly regularly. I've picked up customers there using the ramp there, using their services, using their facilities. They've given rides back and forth, and they've never charged me a single dime because I'm a smaller aircraft when I do that. And, okay, we're local, but those types of fees are typically not local / transient in a lot of cases. XNA is an example of a Charlie airport that says, you know what, you're a small airplane, you're from the local area, I'm not going to stick it to you. So think about that when you're coming up with this proposal. How can we make it so that we're promoting aviation?
Right,
And yeah, I
yeah.
get it. You need to make profit. We're not asking you to not make a profit. There's a reason there's minimum fuels, and that's so that you can make your money on the fuel, right, rather than having to stick them with a handling fee. But it takes a lot more effort to handle a Hawker than it does a 172.
Sure.
Because you're not going to do anything for the 172 guy. You're going to stick chocks under his wheels, and he's going to come in, he's going to hit the head. Maybe he'll buy fuel from you. That's what you're hoping for, right? That's the objective. So show him a nice facility. Maybe he won't buy fuel this time, but next time he will. Try to get them from going over to the self-serve. I get it. I mean, you make more money that way, right? So think about those things when you're coming up with this proposal. I think there is a good way to make something that will benefit you and won't hurt aviation.
Anything else?
Yes. So, Mark and I met with Wyman yesterday regarding space in our contract, and
Okay, yeah,
we
got
have a formal request
that.
to
Sorry.
change the rented space within the terminal that the FBO has in the lease agreement. And so what I've got there is currently downstairs, offices 104, 105, and 106. That's the, if you go into the terminal, you look to the northeast, you've got the counter space there. Behind that's a kind of a lounge coffee room. Next to that is a lockable office, which is currently also a lounge. And then next to that is where we keep our popcorn machine and vending machine. What we're proposing and what we would like to do is to take all of that space, that current lounge space and snack room, and switch it with what we have upstairs, which is an unused space, except for occasionally ARH will use it if they need some extra space for training or whatever it might be. And our goal in this is to provide a quieter, more private place for our pilots, transients, whoever might come in to spend their day. So for example, we've got Children's is here 4 days out of a week, and they're here all day long. But they're in the lounges where people are always walking through. There's a lot of conversations. They could close the door if they want, but there's still that window right there, and a lot of sound is getting in. We want to designate upstairs specifically for a lounge area, a flight briefing room, and a vending area, and then turn downstairs. Again, the window in the room that's behind the counter there, we would like that to make that our line shack. And the reason we want to do that is because currently the line shack sits behind my office, and if you know where that is, there's no windows. There's a garage door, but there's no windows. You can't see the ramp. You can't hear anything back there either. If this other room was the line shack, then you've got clear visibility just all around. You can hear everything. We can get our computers back there. We can get our screens back there for the guys to use. Quick access over to ARH, the ramp ARH is used. 10B for Mark's aircraft. And we transient the terminal enough that even though we'd have to run across the terminal to get to the fuel trucks, that's already happening anyway. The central room, we would like to combine that with the counter as a leasable space. Right now, ARH uses that space. We just let them kind of have the counter right there. But we'd like to let them be able to have that lockable room. They can keep files in there and keep their counter space. Since they've grown, they've really started to utilize the terminal a lot more. And they've got customers coming in all the time. They've got a lot of training operations coming in all the time. That's why they're going upstairs now, because it's just easier to go upstairs rather than walk across a ramp that's busy with lots of aircraft that are just sitting there running up and getting ready to go on flights or coming in, and helicopters as well. So they've just started naturally using the terminal more. So we think they could benefit from that by keeping an office in that central room. And then the plan, kind of long-term, is for the snack room, currently what is a snack room and vending room, to turn that into a testing facility. It would be, this testing facility would be run through Summit, and that's another avenue that we could use to hopefully pursue some sort of income. It would be good for written tests, for the FAA testing, and it doesn't have to be just that. It could be nursing exams. Anything that needs to be proctored actually could actually go through it.
Let me ask you a question while you're explaining this. All these rooms you're talking about, you currently have under lease as your part of the terminal. You're not asking for any additional space in there.
Nothing
So
additional.
my question to everybody on the commission, have we ever designated by leasing space?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Is there an addition, it's public space now, and you're wanting to convert to a Summit?
That
And
and
I missed that.
yeah, I think some of it is public space, which again, I would like to make a switch so that anything that is designated as a
Can
public
you be
space.
specific about what is public now that you want to gain access to, or you want to swap, or whatever? Can you be a little more specific? Because
Sure, yeah.
I'm getting confused. It sounds to me like you've already got control over these spaces, and you're just wanting to designate other things for me. I don't see a problem with that. You're already using them.
I'm not sure what the public space is, which is one of the questions I had for you guys, if anybody knew.
Well, I mean, what public space are you thinking they're looking at?
So my idea, what I'm thinking of now is that if it's public space, and that's downstairs, turn upstairs, a portion of upstairs into public space. So there's kind of a one-for-one swap.
Are you talking about that, like that 104, probably?
I think that would be it. 104 and 105, I think.
The more you talk about this, Daniel, I'm right on the line of a little bit of confusion, because you keep saying I think and I don't know. Can you come back with something that is rock solid, bulletproof, that says, this is what I would like to do, swap this square foot for that square foot, this one for that
If it's
one?
in-kind swap, then
Because-
obviously that's different than.
Because
Yep.
the I thinks and I don't knows are not giving any credibility to me as far as what your goal and objective is. Because there's too much now in my head that is, I don't know, and I think, and now I don't know, and I think. I thought we were,
The space that they're using anyway.
I'm not gonna dictate what you're gonna do
If it's all
with
your
it.
space, then it's your space.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if we
and
need to
that's where I'm
swap
stuck.
some space and stuff like that, then we need to know what space is what and where
Yeah.
it's going.
Can you
Yep.
get us a rock solid bullet point, proposal?
Yeah, I'll get with Wyman and see exactly what is and what isn't, and then, yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I mean, that's it. So now you know what we need to do, what we've been doing, and what we hope to do, so I'm always available if you need me.
Okay,
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bill? What we got on the operations?
Yeah, come on. Hear me? Yeah, I'm full. The capacity at all the hangars are full. And as far as the hangar rent, I noticed, I contacted both Tom Dow and Scott Davis. Of course, we have eviction notices on Scott Davis now. We still have about 35 to 38. I've lost about 3 people on the hanger list because they got tired of waiting. So
That was a question I had. Where are we at on our proposal for additional hangar space? I know I've slept since then, but we talked about, we've got one more T hangar if we need to enclose, if we're going to. And then we were talking about building additional hangars. Again, I've lost about 6 months of clear thinking, if that makes any sense. But starting in a new year, maybe we need to, with your input, with everyone's input, and where we're at financially, where we're at, and all of the airport, the health of the airport, the best news I've heard in years has been we're full of hangar space. At one time, we were building hangars and we had empty hangars. You guys remember that? Well, now would be a good time to not let any grass go. Here's our hangar man right here. He talked us into enclosing hangars when we didn't need them.
Looks pretty smart now, doesn't he?
I don't know that I would enclose the one that we have left, though, that T hangar. I think I'd leave
We
that.
listened to you pretty good, because we learned to listen to you. Yeah, yeah, I
Good
mean,
thing.
to have an open T hangar.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, again, those things are vanishing too. Back then, you could buy, I bought my first 150 for $2,800. dollars. That same 150 would probably be worth 30,000 today. And you know what a 172 will bring now compared to those $6,000 172. So people who's paying that kind of money for a single engine airplane anymore, they don't care a pedal extra for a closed T hangar.
So when we started building hangars, the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics had excess funds, and they were giving grants for hangars. Well, they got down to a low point, and they said, we're not going to fund any more grants for hangars. They've gotten back to the point now that they've got some extra money. Might be more familiar with.
Yeah, we saw probably 2 or 3 hangar facilities get grants last year. They were smaller facilities, probably 6 bays, or really what you're seeing are corporate style hangars, 60 by 60s, 70 by 70s that are getting built a lot just because the cost per square foot is so much cheaper, less doors to have to construct. Revenues at the state have been low over the last 3 or 4 months. Back when things were rolling, we'd be getting 1.1 million a month in revenue into the fund. It's been about $500,000 a month over the last 4 or 5 months. And so what the advice I'd give you is if you want to go new construction, go into it with the mindset of we're going to design a hangar facility, but be willing to sit on it for a while we wait for the state to get enough money to fund it. That would be the only advice I'd give you is just have that in the back of your mind. Because some of these that are getting funded now are 2 or 3 years after they were first bid to try to get funding for them.
We need to get all the information we've got and bring it here to see what we need, what type we need, but get aggressive on whatever it is. We've got the land still and ready to go, and I just think we're missing the boat if we don't really get after it at this point.
I know everybody I have on the hangar list, they want a enclosed hangar rather than a open hangar, but they'll take anything they can get just to get their foot in the door. But they still want to,
That,
I say close them up. If we can get doors on them, I say close them up.
They're already full. So we gain nothing by putting doors on because it's already full.
But
We need clear span hangars because that's what everybody wants, where they can put in 2 or 3 planes per bay.
right.
That will free up several of our T hangars so that we
Yeah.
can rent those out.
that's
I
true.
believe we could fill up that, if we closed those T hangars, we could fill it up, but still yet we would lose that option of having that open T hangar. So as long as they're full, I don't know, we give up that option, that we do have open T hangars out there. Maybe somebody just sitting, huh? Yeah. Maybe.
Revenue increase isn't that significant.
And spend all of our revenue and stuff on building the type of hangar that they do want.
Correct.
Where are we thinking? Southwest corner back there?
Well, there's another Laudersville delivery, hangar 12, isn't there? Yeah. For that brown hangar? Yeah. We could just match that or put however many bays, hangars would go, just fill that corner up to that. Could we attach it to that other hangar?
I think you hit the square footage maximum before you start got to use fire suppression systems. So you'd probably want to do a 50-foot gap and then roll with it.
What do you think the spacing is to avoid that?
It's 30 to 50 feet, depending on how the fire marshal classifies it. hmm Unless you do you could always beef up your firewall on that wall in your new structure. Yep.
Good, I mean,
And save some square foot, save some
another hangar.
building distance
yeah.
there.
It costs you a hanger.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Cost you a hanger.
I'd like to go to I don't want to sprinkle it,
Nope.
but see what we could design that would be acceptable.
But of course, if you do sprinkle it, then that would be one of those amenities that we would have to charge.
Oh, well, you
Yeah.
couldn't offset it, huh? Yeah.
There's high power goes underground out there. I don't think we can build over the top of it either.
Yeah, we may have to look at relocating that as part of that cost, potentially.
Locating utilities?
There's a primary line that goes underneath the taxiway and the road right there. We found it when we put the road in. I can't remember where it falls in that area.
I like how that sounds.
Well, we found it before construction, okay? We didn't hit it.
That guy, he'll be all right eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But no, I
okay.
think we should look at the site and see what makes the most
Let's get
sense.
together next meeting and
We can sketch something up and maybe provide it ahead of the meeting, just with, here's where the lines are, here's how you could configure some stuff in that spot. Because that is by far, outside of that utility, the cheapest spot, because you got taxiway, you've got road. You just got to put a hanger in between. Yeah.
So in the Department of Transportation world, periodically they throw out the build grants, used to be Tiger grants, that kind of thing. Is there an FAA element on the federal level?
There is, and the FAA kind of goes by the old rule of you better have nothing else you can do before we give you money for a hangar, meaning you own your RPZs, all your stuff is to standard. We would need to do about another 20 million of improvements at Springdale before we got to that point. But very rare. Sometimes you see one come through across the whole country where they fund a hangar. But state route is definitely the route for hangar facilities. I have seen some people get lucky and strike the iron hot with the economic development hangar, but that's usually for a business, not just for storage of aircraft.
On your rough draft next month, can you give us a couple of different options as far as what ground we could look at?
Sure.
I know we're focusing on this one, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if there's obstructions there, what other options do we have?
Yeah, most of that we already have, so I'll just compile it and get it to Rose ahead of the meeting, and she can put it out with the packets. All right.
stay there.
Yes. Not moving.
Let's go down to number 9.
Is that me? Okay. So 3 projects to talk about.
Applications.
This is, thankfully, this is the last time I'll talk about the runway rehab grant. So this will help your cash flow. You received a grant from the state yesterday for $227,000. That is your 10% matching grant for the FAA grant. So that's money you've already spent, and now you're getting reimbursed from the state. And so I just shot, actually, Wyman and Rose the letter that they'll need to send to the state to actually request that money. So you should see that hit the account next week. And that'll completely close out the runway rehab project with the FAA. The apron expansion project, the concrete apron expansion, which was a state-only grant, a 910 grant through the state, all that work is complete. We've done the pavement repairs out there as well. Honestly, I would rather have that closed out by now. We're just waiting on some paperwork from the contractor, his release of lien, and his general warranty, the stuff that we want to get before we give final payment to him. So we're holding his payment until he gets us that stuff. Just calling him every week and trying to get it from him. But we'll keep pushing that, and then once we get that paperwork in, we'll get reimbursed on that grant, which is about $135,000 reimbursement on that one, roughly.
Pitfalls that can go wrong and at closeout. We experienced none of those in the recent
We do appreciate that. Definitely, like Wyman said, just one piece of paperwork is all it takes, and you wish you would have gone a little slower the last time. And then on the East Taxiway, that's your next FAA project. It will be designed this year and then constructed in 2 years. We'll start working up that grant in the next few months, and so as we go through the next few months commission meetings, we'll get some updates and some things to approve in association with that grant application for the design of the East Taxiway, which will go from its current spot about 1,500 feet short of the north end of the runway, and then go all the way to the north and tie in to the north threshold of the runway, crossing the creek and everything. So, everything's on schedule for that, and we've had a little bit of coordination with the FAA to talk through some of the ins and outs of that, but everything should be ready to go. That's all I have. Yes, sir.
The last 10 years, project's been completed. I'm sure you have a complete list of that and the amounts. Would it be asking too much to compile a quick look at that to where, just anyone
Yeah.
that we could post somewhere to show what actually the airport has done in the last 10 years, or 15 or whatever, since Garver's been associated with it or whatever.
Yeah, I think if you, I think we had something like that when we were showcasing the terminal a few years back, and we had the meeting there. I'll just update it, print a new board, and we can put it in the terminal. We'll give you an easel if you want to throw it somewhere in the terminal. At City Hall, you just let us know how many of those board kind of things you want, and we'll put them. Maybe I'll design it first, let you look at it maybe next month, and we can figure out where you want to put it and how many you'd want to get.
Thinking about us tooting our own horn, let the city council see it,
Mhm.
and something that was attractive, you know, where you could, at first glance, didn't have to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
studying or anything. Say,
Sure.
well, you know, yeah, we have spent several $1 million in upgrades and things like that. And see
Absolutely.
where I think it'd be good. I'd like to see it. So,
I will do that. So that's my action items: the hangar development areas, and then just some sort of graphic, a draft of a graphic that shows total development dollars. You know, where it came from, local, state, feds, to see what's been going on at the airport. Sure thing.
sounds good.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll go back up to Wyman on operations fuel report.
That's because we've laid the money out for this grant already, and we're gonna get back to 10%. They just
Be getting that.
back in the black. Option to make a decision on a land lease. Construction of those hangars, and he's not with the lease and let him continue on, or you could on, which is property that we've got, property that we've got.
Has anything been done in the last 2 months?
Bring in a proposed partner that met with me and asked a lot of questions and stuff. And I don't know if they finalized the partnership or not. But concrete slab down, and
That's
that's,
the extent of it, isn't it?
He's got some metal in there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't, we tried it once before, but ask him to come in next month and explain it to the commission, what his,
I think he's been asked, hasn't he?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where do you- We've been over backwards, but you know, you're also, that'd be a big hit to put on someone right at this point, but if he's just not going to, he needs to come forth and be, do I want to use the word honest with us or what, but be forthright with us as to what is going to happen, what he is capable of doing, and then prove that he can do it. Other than that, I don't think, then you have no choice. I don't know if you need to go that far or not, but
Has anyone, Bill or James, have y'all spoken with him, get any indication on what his thoughts are?
Like what Wyman said, we met with the business partner that he's proposing with, and he hasn't really said anything new.
well, let's see if we can't get him here next month. When is that deadline, Wyman? March? Of March? That's what I was remembering.
So he's got a land lease with us that he's already done improvements with, and if we let the land lease go because improvements aren't complete, what do we do?
Have to come ours?
Take ownership of the improvements?
I mean, that's the hard part. I mean, that's, do you go that far? I guess you got every right in the world to do
Well,
it.
but we've already given him an extension
Right.
once.
Yeah, we have given you extension once, so that'll be up to the commission. But, and I just thought before that deadline of March 31st, give him an opportunity to come in here.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think if he's serious about this, then it shouldn't be any problem for him to be here next month,
Exactly.
you know, unless there's a blizzard.
Notice
You know,
and,
Let's, you know,
yep. Agree.
I'd
We
like,
invite him to come speak with us.
yes.
Well, that's all well and good, but we invited him a year ago, and he came and spoke with us and asked for an extension, and we're no better off than we were 10 months ago.
Well, we put the stipulation on the invitation that he better come with a battle plan.
Yeah,
And we're not gonna approve it, but at least we get the chance
I
to
think
take a
we
look at
Probably
it.
need to know
No
these
guarantee
are
we'll.
the things we're gonna do, A, B, C.
Well, let's look at the other side of it. We're collecting the land lease right now, right? It's, the land lease is being paid. I mean, he's still paying the land lease.
Okay.
Which is all we would get. And he's hurting himself by pushing this thing out. His final date is still out there. So, I mean, you could argue, which I'm not arguing that fact, but you could argue that if he never built a hangar and paid the land lease, we wouldn't be in work. Well, we're not gonna have a hangar at some point.
We're not gonna have the hangar, but we're not.
So that does cut into us, but we could, as long, it's not gonna kill us to ride in a little while longer if we have to. But we should not, we should have, if we have an extension, it shouldn't be.
It can't be indefinite because we lose the asset otherwise eventually.
Bring additional airplanes to the airport and.
Right, that's a good point. There you go.
Also, already brings revenue to the airport as well.
Prime real estate for hangars. And we're just looking, if we're gonna build another hangar, that front lot there kinda interests me, you know, and, they're on, pardon me? Right, choice spot, so if we was to get that back, we may not wanna give it up. But, so,
Build 2 or 3?
it's,
Was it 3?
okay, anybody, we're gonna ask him to come here next, meeting,
Please.
so we'll do that. No.
We were hoping the winds would do that for us.
I just told my twos,
Wait through spring, maybe it'll fall down.
I'm for demolishing
How much land is around the building? What space does that give us, you know, when it comes down?
it. Room for another corporate hangar.
Technically speaking, it would also give us ability for other hangars there too, if we chose to. It's a lot longer connector to everything, but
Do I ever
And
mow it?
what would we be out by doing that? What do you, other than a little bit of storage? Anything? What's that used for?
We haven't used it for anything.
Besides that, we gotta,
we'd be out the money that we spend to keep it up.
we gotta repair it to make it usable for anything.
That seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much does it cost to tear something like that down?
Depends on what time of the day.
It's just block,
Yeah, it depends on what time of day.
dump truck loads, and that's about it.
We do have Jeff Mann that we've used to do stuff like that before, not to bring that name up again, but we've had other people help us out with knocking down buildings.
We have some machinery at Public Works that could take care of it.
Yep,
Probably nothing
there you
flat,
go.
because there's nothing else in it, right?
Once you turn the power off to it, it's just a block building.
Very little. Is there any,
Good land
is there any sewer in it at all?
You
But-
can dump that stuff anywhere.
But not much.
I hear a motion, tear it down?
I'll move we tear it down.
Second.
I'll second it.
Can we fight over each other for the second?
Favor?
Aye.
That was easy. Old business?
Before you do that,
Let's talk about
we need to talk about.
Davis.
Yeah, we need to talk about,
Yeah.
Here, here's yours.
what does he want, another 30 days?
extension for vacating the hangars. Who's familiar with this proposal?
You can see what Ernest wrote too.
Pardon me?
Ernest sent you.
Yeah, we have the.
This, is this the same as that? I'm sorry.
He gave us this yesterday and this come in today. Because
Uh.
he told Scott he needed to be here today.
He's not here.
I haven't talked to Scott, but I assume he's asking for reprieve of his eviction. For a second chance to be caught up by May or March.
But it looks like he's just asking for another 30 days to get his stuff out. Am I reading that correctly?
That's the way I see it.
What I'm seeing.
He's relocating it, and he'll have, I would say, it's till March 5th to get it made whole and get everything out. I read his letter.
I was reading the city attorney letter.
So he's gonna pay another 1,500 February the 5th, and the balance, he intends to have the balance paid off March the 5th. And then where does the other 30 days extend him out to? March the 5th? Is that what I'm reading, or?
That's what he's asking.
Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I say we let him have till March 5th to get everything paid up and get his junk out.
Probably better than the option we
It, well, he's paying current rent for January on 1/16. Today.
Yep.
Yes, I agree with that, you know, yeah.
do
Is
what?
there any way to know if we,
I'd like to know if he's
can
kept his
call.
word to pay.
if we get that payment today, it changes my mind probably significantly about whether I'm willing to work with him at all.
Some semblance of commitment.
Yeah. Did we get paid today?
I think Rose is,
This is Joel?
I've got his phone number.
I don't even know.
you're gonna call him and ask him.
Yeah, I was gonna call him.
Tell you this, Rose. Can you tell me if Scott Davis
Check
made
some of
a payment today? Or is he supposed to pay 1,500?
Well, that shows this in there. Oh,
Okay.
Of the 200, he can pay 15.
this and this.
Well, he can say, pay 1,500 of that,
Okay, and there's nothing.
and the balance. Or 994.
She said there's nothing's come in yet, but she's gonna double check the mail.
Okay.
While we're waiting on this, I'd like to go to the comments section just a little bit.
You wanna jump in all that?
Pardon me, I know, but just,
Okay, all right, thanks. No, nothing.
nothing. We haven't got it. What's your pleasure? It's, Ernest has been working with him. He's asked for this extension. Apparently, he hasn't fulfilled today's as of yet. We haven't seen the money as of, we're supposed to get today. Day's not over.
Day's not over. So my opinion is we have two choices. We can say no, or we can say, yes, if this payment is made, we agree to these terms or some modification thereof of these terms.
I think that's the most fair.
It is to me. If he's going to make a payment today.
What are we gonna do if we haven't, if what's our option?
I've already told him we're
What
evicting him at the
hammer-
end of January and
what
we're
hammer
taking
we gonna
possession.
drop? That's the question.
Right? Which costs us more than the rent.
That's what I'm getting at. What hammer do we have to drop?
And we gotta do something wrong with his stuff that costs us more than the rent.
Well, something else, he says, I'm paying current rent, I guess, on January 1/16, or January 16, 2020. Does that mean he's mailing a check on January 16th? He's gonna come in?
I will be happy to call him. I do have his phone number. He left it on here as well. Call him and
He's gonna
find out.
And based on, we can make our decision based on A or B.
You know, he waited a month. Ernest notified him on the 20th of December, and he did not respond until the 15th of January.
True.
And so what sort of signal does that send? You know,
Well, we've
apparently
known
it's
he's
not
been a
very much
issue
of a
for
priority on
years.
his mind.
Well, and that's what I say, I think we got the option to say no, and then what hammer do we have over to implement?
Know what that means.
so-
Gotta do something with all of it, and
I'm in this business of rentals and stuff, and I know it's not something that's unique. And you take your path of least resistance a lot of times.
I feel like if he'll make a payment today, my opinion would be
To agree to give him the time to get out, and that we won't be extending at that time. He is out, he's officially out.
out, but if you'll make these payments on these dates, we,
Agree to let him be out by that time, that's my opinion.
I think we're all under
that's,
that
that's
opinion.
easier. That's
Right.
easier than the other pathway, like you said.
Well, what's the or else? I think that's where I keep going, because we got to be able to back it up. And,
Lock it down, take possession of his stuff, and then we move it out. That's the or else. Which costs us money.
I'm gonna say,
Cost
I'm
us
gonna
anything to lock
say
it down.
from experience, here we are with all of this, here we are with all this documentation in front of us. We don't
Yep.
like it. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but history and experience tells me we say one more time, and then we get real aggressive and no more. Take your
Yep.
phone call, convey that to him. Then we have justification to do whatever's necessary, even though it does cost us money, whatever.
Well, it doesn't cost us much to lock it down.
That's my suggestion.
Do we know what's in these hangars?
Hey,
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, but if we did, if it came to
I'm
worst case
guessing it's a lot
scenario,
of stuff
we
that he
had to,
probably wants to keep.
yeah, we had to empty the hangars. Do we have any place to
James, do you have any
to put it?
idea what's?
E3 recyclers. You lock it down, it becomes.
Planes, you know, it's, and then he's got
Got the storage unit, so you got his tools.
parts and things in there.
Stuff that's worth well more than,
Well, I said if we say no today, we have to go lock it up, right?
Yep.
yeah.
That's,
So, why don't you make a motion to that?
I'll motion that if he'll make the payment today and make these other payments to give him through his requested extension, otherwise, if no payment today, we lock it up.
Second.
Yep, well, you beat me to it.
roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
Barker, Gardner,
Yes.
Scoot.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if Rose will let me, I'm gonna go to comments. I don't know how many you have heard, but Greg Willoughby is not here today, and he's facing a health issue with his wife, and he's gonna have to spend most of his time there. He's asking to be taken off the commission also. And so that will be something the mayor will be dealing with. And I called Greg after I found out about this and talked to him for a while, and he seems to be upbeat. They're still, he says she is just so weak that she can't move very far without a wheelchair and things of this nature. So she's not in good shape. So y'all be thinking about that, and wouldn't hurt to contact him if you get a chance. I know from experience that's a good thing.
How many years of service does he have on this commission? How many years of service?
As
12
Greg?
probably.
Yeah?
We started the same day. I think it's about 12.
I mean, that right there in my mind is something that's deserving of an honorable mention of somehow. And I don't know if we have a City of Springdale Wall of Honor for people that have dedicated their services to the city or whatever, but, I mean, he's got 12 years of freaking service on this thing, and it needs to be recognized.
So my first thought when I saw that was, I don't know, and I haven't tried to call him yet, but I will. I don't know that we don't offer a leave of absence. to him.
That was my first thought, and I mentioned that. But I didn't mention him. It just seemed like though this is where he's at. Now, some of you could call him and ask him, but, and like I say, I think that might be the mayor's, place to offer that. Certainly, we would be, I don't see any
I
objection.
think we would all be very much open to that.
But I would still think that would probably be, because he tendered, I can say this, he basically, in an email, tendered his resignation. So that would, now, we know he could withdraw that, whatever, I'm sure. So, but someone wants to mention that and encourage him to do that, and then he can check, go one step
I'll
further.
reach out to him this afternoon.
Okay.
I like the thought of offering the leave of absence, especially given, Joel's suggestion and the time involved. Right, and it may not be anything
You don't know
that
what's
we
going
can-
through his mind, whether he just thought that was the right thing to do because he couldn't be here,
Right.
or he never, I was surprised he didn't suggest that, just say, I'm gonna be away for a few months.
And, I mean, if there are any sort of city statutes or anything that would prevent it, then, we would certainly honor that. But, I think it's something to check into. Who would be able to answer that question, if a leave of absence? Just leave it open, okay. All right. Let's see what Mayor Sprouse, see how he weighs in on it.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I do have one other thing. We have been invited to tour the manufacturing facility at Bentonville Airport for that aircraft. And if anyone, I mean, I can go ahead and get a pretty well indicated, yes, we'd like to do that. Haven't got a date, but what, maybe, is there anybody here that wouldn't want to go into it?
I haven't been there, and it's a really neat facility.
But go as a group and try.
Take an advantage and go see, absolutely.
I would certainly be, interested.
We have airport commission meetings on Thursday. Would Thursday be a good date to set up to go up there any Thursday or something to meet and go up there? Or to meet up there, however we'd do it. Nobody's got any buses around here that could take us up there.
I might be able to work on something like that.
Doesn't have to be a very big one,
It's because you guys are all short. That's
How
what
about
you're
a
saying.
stretch limit?
Yeah, I can make that happen. I'll drive.
On second thought.
Okay. Well, if that's okay, I'll get us a date and try to get everybody word and go from there.
I would like to have, for me personally, anything in the afternoon or early afternoon
Oh, I would
works
see.
better for me than in the
There
morning.
was a suggestion we could get up there for lunch at the restaurant too.
Go up to Thaden's for lunch.
So combine those two things. I'll see what I can put together.
Got it.
And get back with you next week.
My bad weeks for a Thursday already, I know. The week of the 20th of February is out, that Thursday, and 16th, 18th of March is out, so.
So is mine. I'm leaving the 23rd, which that's Thursday. So,
Couldn't do it in January personally. I have been there, so don't adjust it for me. Would love to go again, but,
okay. Anything else? If not, we'll adjourn. Sorry about that, Rose.